In all the 10 billion videos on the internet talking about Wong Kar-wai films, I haven't seen one that's talking about how the fashion in these films really carry these stories and bring them to life. So today we're going to focus on Chungking Express and Fallen Angels. So let's take it from the top. Chungking Express's fashion is like a mix of this kind of playful youthfulness with the typical kind of 90s chic that we see in these films. I personally love Faye's fashion in this. As a character who breaks into her crush's apartment while he's at work just to feel closer to him, obviously inappropriate in real life, but in the context of this film is quite sweet. You can really feel that kind of youthful, dive in headfirst energy in her fashion. She wears this like iconic 90s Hong Kong street chic, which are probably some of the most kind of accessible and fun looks of the film. Her wardrobe is full of fun staples, colorful polo shirts, cute graphic tees and tank tops, along with flowy skirts and sneakers. Something about her kind of feels akin to like a real world version of what we've seen Miu Miu do over the last couple of years. Kind of this youthful energy and playful spirit. She's also always wearing these really cool little oval sunglasses, which along with her haircut really add to this quirky but super endearing character. Everything she wears looks comfortably thrown on, yet it perfectly reflects her personality. Free-spirited, optimistic, a bit tomboyish, but very charming. Of course, we can all relate to feeling so strongly about someone that we just want to know everything about them. And you can kind of see that personality in these clothes. Someone who's pulled by her emotions and compelled to follow them. And she has a happy ending, so that's nice. Officer 663's style, on the other hand, may not look particularly desirable from first glance, but I think the thing with this character is the fashion storytelling. And this is just my interpretation of the fashion storytelling here, okay? He's in uniform for most of the film. When we see him in uniform, he's always got his guard up. This is a man who's dealing with a broken heart, but he's staying strong and he's keeping it together, especially shown in the scene where Faye tries to give him the letter from his ex and he just can't accept it right now. It's not until we see him at home that we're starting to see the full extent of his heartbreak. He's not in uniform, he's in his underwear and he's talking to the bar of soap. He's talking to the washcloth. The uniform is off and we're seeing how the man inside of the uniform feels. This storytelling is extended when we see the first time Faye is actually in the apartment with him. You see, to her, the guard is being lowered. He's letting her in. The story continues when he asks her to get a drink with him at a bar. We see him getting ready, pulling out a shirt, thinking about what he's gonna wear. He's interested in a new girl, and we don't see him in uniform again for the rest of the film. Officer 663's fashion story comes to an end when he's wearing casual clothes and runs into his ex in the convenience store. And what does she say? You look better in uniform, right? He doesn't wear that uniform anymore. Anyways, next character. Officer 223's fashion is a great representation of the character. He's wearing the same thing for most of his story and it's showing him exactly as he is. He's disheveled, he's disorganized, he's not really self-aware, and it shows in his fashion. This man has too many thoughts, he's searching for something and he's misguidedly calling every woman he's ever known to try to find it. And all the while his appearance has become a representation of his mind, scattered and disorganized. This is really in contrast to our blonde wig lady, who kind of exemplifies the comic book influence on Wong Kar-wai's films. She's always seen in her signature disguise, a beige trench coat, dark sunglasses, a platinum blonde wig and white heels, and almost always a cigarette, really giving this kind of mysterious film noir vibe. The trench gives her a kind of like shapeless anonymity, and those sunglasses conceal any emotion in her face. This outfit is her armor. It's nearly impossible to imagine her wearing anything else. It projects a fearless, no-nonsense energy to the world, but it also hides her vulnerable, lonely side underneath. That theme of fashion to conceal vulnerability is a through line in all of Wong Kar-wai's films, and is particularly prevalent in Fallen Angels. Alright, now we're getting into the guts of it. Chungking Express may be the more popular movie, but Fallen Angels, in my opinion, has the best fashion. Fallen Angels is the evil twin. If Chungking Express gave you hope that maybe romance is alive and there will be a happy ending, Fallen Angels will crush that hope in the most beautiful and poetic way. Fallen Angels is about isolation, being alone in a crowd. Let's start from the obvious fashion winner in this film, the agent. The agent in Fallen Angels is, as we say in the industry, serving I mean, she just looks so fierce. In the opening scene, wearing this leather dress and fishnets along with the oversized 90s jewelry is just chef's kiss. Almost everything she wears is black or like saturated dark colors, keeping a consistent, seductive kind of noir vibe. You can see a lot of her influence in like Diesel, for example, or some of Mark Gong's collections. Real 90s chic. She looks dangerous and it's intimidating. Like, I can't imagine a guy feeling comfortable to approach this woman at a bar. She looks like she knows something that you don't know. Her fashion gives the vibe that she's serious, she's going somewhere and she simply doesn't have time to mess around with you. But this type of fierce, intimidating beauty is starkly contrasted when we see the loneliness and desperation that's underneath. She's in love with a man who doesn't love her back. She goes into his apartment when he's not there and goes through his trash and cleans up. All of a sudden, this fierce beauty beauty becomes human. The image of her wearing a beautiful silk dress, writhing on the hitman's bed in loneliness, shows us that her appearance all along has been a front. Underneath the intimidation is isolation. This is why the fashion in this film is so special. Without it, these messages they wouldn't hit so hard. The hitman's outfit, I feel like, wouldn't be out of place in any Fashion Week street style photo. Throughout the whole film, he wears a pinstripe jacket, a black mesh shirt, a white tank, black suit pants, and a silver chain. It's a mix of business and grit. From afar, he might seem like just another guy in a suit, but up close, you catch those details. His style is deliberately anonymous, which mirrors his personality. The hitman is afraid of making real decisions or connections, so he keeps everything low-key. His clothing kind of shows glimpses of his occupation, but not his personality, because by design, he doesn't really have one. The beauty of this character is that he doesn't know himself. He's lost, he feels incomplete, and you can see that in his outfit. A glimpse of this is when he runs into an old high school friend on the bus and has to lie that he has a wife and a son. His kind of classic neutral attire reflects his emotional detachment and his acceptance of like a lonely life on the fringes of society. Quite the opposite of the hitman is the mute guy. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to call him the mute guy because my Cantonese pronunciation is just not so hot, but this is his name. And of course, my apologies. But anyway, the mute guy provides some comic relief in the early stages of the film. He's an eccentric character who never really grew up, and his fashion shows it. He wears tight-fitting graphic tees, loose jeans, and colorful patterned shirts. This really kind of thrown together man-child type of street style. Through his childlike view of the world, he falls in love with Charlie, a fun character who's suffering from what seems to be paranoid delusions, basically. After falling for Charlie, the mute guy of course gets his heart broken, and as he becomes more isolated, we see his color palette become darker. We see him in more muted colors, and he starts throwing a jacket over his t-shirts as if he's literally putting on a layer of protection. Walking blindly into love and getting his heart broken is the death of this character's innocence. The character that started off as comic relief has become the same as all the rest in Fallen Angels. Isolated and alone against Hong Kong's neon backdrop. This is just such great storytelling through fashion. Overall, I'd say the fashion in Fallen Angels is similar to Chungking Express, just with the volume turned way up. It's darker and sexier and a bit more like exaggerated. Each outfit just amps up these themes of isolation, obsession, and the search for connection. Even though Chungking Express and Fallen Angels both have their own distinct fashion flavor, they're both like two sides of the same Wong Kar-wai coin. Both films show us lonely characters trying to find love or meaning in this huge chaotic city, and in both, clothing is used as a kind of emotional shorthand. It's kind of like a yin and yang situation. Chungking Express is often set in the daytime or in brightly lit rooms and gives like a more bright and playful tone, whereas Fallen Angels lives in the night. It's so dark both in clothing and in mood, and the styling reflects this shift between the two films. In Chungking Express, we get a lot of bright colors and casual, youthful outfits. Faye's yellow polo, for example, or Officer 223's goofy ties. These are really capturing the optimism in the film, like the restless energy of youth. In Fallen Angels though, we see a lot more edge. Black suits and leather dresses with these occasional harsh neon colors cutting through the darkness. Fallen Angels is set in the underground. Interestingly, some characters across the two films kind of mirror each other. I mean, there is Officer 223 and the mute guy who may or may not be the same character. It's never really made clear. But consider the way Faye breaks into Officer 663's apartment to kind of reorder his life to make him feel better. She's in there dancing and having the time of her life, imagining what their life together could be like, all while wearing these super fun and colorful outfits. Contrasted with the agent breaking into the hitman's apartment in fishnets and a sleek dress to obsessively feel closer to him. One scene is kind of cute and the other scene is like so emotionally charged and sad, you know. Yet both scenes are of a woman expressing her fixation through like secret home makeovers. The contrasting outfits in these scenes really set the mood for how each one should be interpreted. It's like seeing the same theme played in major key versus minor key. Both movies also kind of hold these themes of uniforms. I mean, in Chungking Express, we're talking about literal uniforms, like Officer 663 is a police officer, as well as the flight attendant uniform thing. But in Fallen Angels, the uniform is more like metaphorical. The hitman and the agent both have their work clothes that they almost never deviate from. As well as the blonde wig lady's trench coat is basically a uniform for a drug dealer, just as the agent's black dress and heels is her uniform as a hitman's agent. These uniforms are the reason why the imagery from these films sticks in our minds so much, and why we feel so deeply for these characters. It makes you appreciate how Wong Kar-wai consistently uses fashion to build his world. Of course, shout out as well to William Chang, who was the costume designer on both of these films. Anyway, the fashion of these films has inspired tons of tributes. In 2022, Heaven by Marc Jacobs, which is kind of Mr. Jacobs' homage to youth, did a capsule collection in collaboration with Wong Kar-wai celebrating these films. I mean, I'm personally not going to buy it, but yeah, it's cool. But you do see a lot of influence from these films all over social media and editorials and ad campaigns. A lot of the kind of 90s revival that we've seen over the last couple of years, I think owes a lot to Wong Kar-wai. But the main reason these looks are so iconic is because of the emotional resonance behind them. If you see someone with like a red lip and a sleek black dress and fishnets, then you feel like they're kind of channeling the agent. Do you get what I mean? These films have struck a chord with all of us because of their themes of love and isolation, and the clothing became symbols of those themes. So when we call these outfits iconic, it's because they instantly evoke the mood of these films. Clothes can be cinematic icons just like characters or scenes, and Wong Kar-wai's films are a masterclass in that. Anyway, ultimately these fashion moments stick with us because they're tied to universal emotions. If you've never felt alone in a crowd or like you're searching for meaning, then I guess lucky you. But yeah, I really want to do one of these videos about In the Mood for Love, but I'm not going to spend all the time to do it unless people want it. So if you want more of these type of things, then just comment below and let me know, please, and also like the video and stuff. Like and subscribe. Bye.